All right, guys, what is going on? What is good, man? Welcome to Wall Street Wednesday. Oops, there we go. Welcome to Wall Street Wednesday. Starting off with 20 viewers, dog. I guess that's all right. What's good, Mason, Smokey, Scott, Naruto, Tordy, Harmon, Willow, Edmundo, Leon. What's good? What is Gucci? What is our high of the day for Nasdaq? I wonder, man. What happens to be the high of the day, chat? I wonder. I wonder, chat. Do you know what I mean? Like, because sometimes I'm just like, oh, what is it? You know what I mean? Does that not, like, tell you that these markets are scripted, bro? Does it not tell you? It's not me as much as it seems like it. It's not. It's just they're scripted, bro. They're scripted. It's like a play or a movie. You know, you watch a movie, you like it. We talked about Inception yesterday. You watch it a second time, you watch it a third time. Is the outcome any different the second time or the third time around? Is the outcome any different? No. It's the same outcome it's the same lines, it's the same actors, everything's the same. Now the markets aren't like that. There's a little bit of differences, but when it comes to targeting highs or lows, highs like this, come on, man. I gave that to you like last week sometime, saying that that's going to be an upside for later. Hello. Right, what do they say in New York? How you doing? Look at that shit. Come on. It's too easy, man. It's too easy. Now, as far as what we're going to do today, I have no clue. Okay, I have no idea. We met a higher time frame objective. There's a divergence down in here, and we're back within the range. This, to me, I would not trade. I would not trade. I wouldn't do it. Now, I was watching ES earlier, and I do think there was some opportunity, but I do want to make another point that we talked about yesterday. Right? Was good, Ram and Flacco, Ibernet, whoever else I missed. When we spoke a little bit yesterday about break of structure, right? And this proves my point. You know what I mean? That, to me, here, yeah, that is a shift in price delivery here, right? Because we have this down candle, we got a bunch of lower lows. Nasdaq is not making the same lower low, so we trade through that. Yeah, sure, that's a shift in price delivery to go higher, right? And on a 5-minute at least, sure, that's also your break of structure. Again, it's not terrible, but what was the point I was saying yesterday? By the time you wait for a break of structure, a lot of the times I'm already in, right? So you're getting in like where I'm trying to add on, basically. And that's why, to me, a inversion here is just better. I mean, that's hard to argue otherwise. This is like a whole 4 points of a difference here. 3.5, maybe 4 points. That's a big difference in the grand scheme. So that I like as an example. Again, this to me just seems like it wants to trade back into the range. I'm not anticipating a new low of day. I'm not anticipating a new high of day. I don't know. Okay. And there's a reason why I would not trade this environment. Okay. Now down in here at let's say a price extreme, meaning like we've had a massive sell-off, we're below an old low, like that to me is reasonable because it's at an extreme. Okay. This morning, right, 1 2 3 formation high, I can't justify us making a new high of day. Nasdaq taking that target I gave you last week and yesterday, I can't justify making a new high of day. Can we do it? Sure. Is it likely? I wouldn't put money on it. I wouldn't even put a funded account trade on it, you know. So down in here, maybe. Where we are right now, I wouldn't touch this. Does that make sense, everybody? And then 933 price, 5,933. That's about 50%, and I definitely would avoid entering anything around here. You guys with me so far? Drop some ones in the chat if you guys are with me so far. Does it make sense? If it doesn't make sense, let me know. I don't want you guys just like, oh, okay. I don't want you to be zombies, all right? Like in The Walking Dead. I don't want you to be zombies. I want you to like actually understand this. The chat is open. You're allowed to ask questions. All right, this isn't high school or middle school or college where people are afraid to ask questions. Ask. Okay. Here is London, I believe London's low. Right there about 4:30 a.m. We again traded multiple times lower below London's low. And then I would also say 11 o'clock was right here. That to me is also a little bit awkward as well. It barely trades below the open of 11. But that macro was pretty much a reversal. So yeah. And even if you were long, like let's say I was long down in here. What's supposed to be my target for today? What on earth is supposed to be the high probability target? I don't know. I do not know. I guess if I was in from here, 50%, I guess, is probably the best target. Yeah, that's why I don't like it. Okay. I do want to go over to British pound for a minute. I know some of you like, oh, what the fuck, John? Finally going back to currencies, huh? Well, today, yeah, but the only real thing we have here, and I don't even think the dollar lines up with this, is these highs. 135.22. We traded below that low here. We saw a rather deep retracement, and at the time euro was higher, but then euro ends up making a lower low here, and British pound was higher here. So to me, it looks like we want to trade higher. I'm not in any real trades on that. I was just looking around for something today, chat. I mean, dude, I was looking at gold, I was looking at indices, I was looking at currencies. I'm like, I gotta find something to watch. You know what I mean? Like, most people scroll through Netflix trying to find some shit to watch. I'm like scrolling through all the assets like, all right, man, is there anything that presents itself today? And pound to me was okay, but daily doesn't support it, dollar doesn't support it. So to me, it's kind of just like, we'll see, you know? So now we got over 40, almost 50 people, which is cool. But should have waited for the I told you so, huh? That's what I should have waited for. What's good, Cameron? What's good, Darth Quinn? Chris. NQ shorts after liquidity was met. Didn't like the lows on ES and NQ. Was good, hotshot. Okay, we can come back here. What I did like, I want to say, let me back up for a minute. One of these had really clean lows on the regular trading hours. I guess it was either Nasdaq with these, or maybe Dow for these, because that was yesterday's PM session. So there's our open. Look at that real quick. You see that? See that gap? These lows, right? We went into the close higher, and then today at equities open at 8:30 was here. So we had a small gap down. We rallied. So basic in regular trading hours, again, not electronic, in regular, we ended up taking the PM session high, traded beyond the gap. So price is at an extreme, right? Because it's above a gap. Traded into the low end of it here, and then we just fall right down there, right to that. I wouldn't have taken that personally. I didn't really care for that, and I don't even think I was in front of the charts at that point either. But that's not a bad. It's a decent sell model, if that makes sense. Consolidation, accumulation, right? Here, manipulation, and then lower short distribution to go lower. So that's okay, but again, not my favorite. And then this is what that looks like in electronic. I guess if you want to count those as equal lows, you could, but I don't like that. Meeting minutes at 1. Oh, that makes sense. That adds up. Yeah, meeting minutes at 1. That makes a lot of sense now. Makes a lot of sense. So this doesn't surprise me, but as I was saying earlier, London's lows down here for NQ, and we do not trade lower, right? We'll take a look at that real quick. Okay, there it is, 21,407. Cool. ES lower, multiple times lower, and we end up making a low at like 11, 10:55, 11. So in here, not only do we not go lower, but at 10:55, 11, we also have a higher low. Does that make sense? So there is a, let me just draw this real quick. There's basically that, right? There's a failure to go lower, and then a smaller failure to go lower as well. So to me, that that really shows the strength is on Nasdaq. And if there was any longs to be taken, it would be on Nasdaq and not ES. Make sense? So like, I'll give you an example. And I know some of you might shit yourself. You might be like, oh my God, that's crazy. Well, you wouldn't be the first to call me crazy, okay? You remember I showed you this earlier, right? The last imbalance in a liquidity sweep. That's the inversion model to go higher, right? Again, that was at 1101. See that 1101 candle? Look at the 1101 candle on Nasdaq. That's this one. That's that candle right there. Do you see what it did though? What did we do yesterday? I think it was Nasdaq we were looking at yesterday. You remember what we did with the imbalance and when the gap was also part of it? Do you guys remember that? What did we do with that? What did we do? Yeah, Cameron, I agree. So, honestly, sidebar, I can tell you the inversion trades like this are the easiest to take when you have to take a trade. And I know that sounds crazy. What do you mean you have to take a trade, John? Bro, if you're funded, you have to take a trade at least once every, I think, 30 calendar days. So you can't just go a month without trading. They'll kick you basically. So if you're like, okay, I'll at least take one trade a week just so we don't fuck up the rule or like that, I guess, requirement. Bro, this is such a small risk. It's insane that if you took it on like a micro, okay, you're risking like what, $20, $30? Who fucking cares? You know what I mean? Include the open / close depending on the direction of the candle that completes the imbalance, that gap. Chat. When we drew the imbalance, we included the gap with it. See that? Look at that. Look how beautiful that is, baby. Look at that. Look at that. And then look what happened after. That's such small risk. Immediately higher. Look at that. Immediately higher. And it does, I guess, trade lower for whatever these lows are here, or at least that low here. But it doesn't go back to your entry, not even close. Well, maybe like 10 points away, which is a little, that might be a little bit close, but like, look at that. Again, as I explained yesterday, you're not getting the low of the day, but you're getting close to it. And it's one of the earliest available entries. It's two different divergences, basically. And then a shift in price delivery. Do you guys just realize what I gave you? I just gave you a trading model. Just like the Judas, but it's not Judas. It's not the 3 lower lows. Or, well, the low within 2 more lower lows. It's not the 1, 2, 3 formation. Honestly, I don't even know what to call it. It's just like the inversion model, but you're waiting for a divergence. You're waiting for strength, right? A long time ago, and again, this is one of those things that I taught the MLM industry that nobody even fucking knew about. You know what I mean? Much less traded it. But it was these scenarios that I told you, you can analyze one chart and trade the other one. You can quite literally trade a chart without even looking at it. You could just look at ES and then trade NQ instead. Now, to me, that's very, I don't feel like a lot of people should try to do that. I would say, yeah, you should probably take a look at the chart before you do anything, but it's still possible. And I've done it, and I've shown you trades like that, and that's the way to do it, right? You look at ES and you go, okay, we're below London's low. We got, multiple lower lows, and NQ is not doing so. It's not taking London's low, and it's not taking whatever that low is either. That's strength. You know what I mean? And now that I think about it, because I didn't really watch the 1 minute in here, to be fair, but what do you have right there? You have two imbalances, right? You got one right there. And if you include the gap, you got one right there as well. So if you're in from the inversion, guess what? You have at least two different, because there's more, but at a minimum, you have at least two concepts that are protecting your entry. You know what I mean? So if you were in from down here and you're watching this here, you're saying, okay, well, that's actually a trade because there's two imbalances. So we could take the first one, would have stopped at the second one, but I'm already in. So we can just put our stop loss down here. And it looks like it's getting ready to take your stop. But you know what? It doesn't. Okay? It doesn't. It doesn't go down here to your break even, and it trades higher and it makes a new high. Not of day, but of, I guess, at least the last couple hours, right? Because the current high is there when it trades lower. And then guess what? Boom. It trades higher right there. And that gives you an opportunity for a really, really good trade, or at least a good partial, in a market that, well, to be frank with you, Twitter is going to say this sucks every time. Good days, bad days, right? Whatever. There's always a big ass group of people. Oh, this market sucks. This market sucks. The market doesn't suck. You suck. Okay? You suck. It ain't the market. And when you finally realize that, bro, I'm trying to teach you these things, man. I'm trying to teach you that, yeah, the markets might, do a little bit of barcoding, right? Okay, we can all agree, yeah, that's some barcode. We could scan that at Kroger in the fucking checkout. I get it. But this is why we utilize certain tools. Relative strength, time of day, right? Time, price, context. What is it called? The time compression matrix. Waiting for a new candle or waiting for the current higher time frame candle to close and then waiting for a new one to open, right? For a better timed entry. That's what I'm talking about. And when you apply those things, that's how you can trade down in here. Near the low of the day, very little drawdown. I mean, look at that. I know I said that like 100 times. Just look at the chart. Right, well, think about that. This is a 1 minute chart. And you would have sustained less than 60 seconds of drawdown. Do you understand me? You could hold your fucking breath for longer than you would have been in drawdown on that trade, and you're in profit for hours. You're telling me you don't want to learn how to trade like that? Don't fucking lie to me. You know what I'm saying? Don't lie to me. And that's it. So we got 30 minutes until meeting minutes, and even then, I don't even know what to expect. We have unemployment claims tomorrow before equities open, so that'll probably do something. I don't know if it'll be higher or lower. I have no clue. And I guess PCE price index on Friday before equities as well. Part of me believes this would be a good partial on the higher time frames. That might be the case. That might be the case. Elijah, I'm not sure. Try try using, do you have a driver's license? Try that. You could try that. If that doesn't work, then just hit me up on Instagram a little bit later, not while I'm streaming. But speaking of Stoic FX, there's actually some pretty cool stuff that we have planned coming soon. So I'm going to tell you what it is, but it's going to be very beneficial for a lot of you. Smokey says the passport doesn't work either. Okay. If the passport thing is an issue, then I'll bring that up. And I'll let the right people know. We'll try to get things fixed, okay? Shit is new. You got to understand. There's going to be a couple of things that got to be fixed. All right? So just bear with us. All right? Bear with us. Leon, what were the outcomes of those trades that you took, looking at one and trading the other? Like if you were longing the leader or shorting the laggard, how did that end up working out for you? Am I part of the management? I wouldn't say that, but I would say I have good connections. I'll tell you that. How about that? I'm well connected. Is that good enough? Do you guys have any trading related questions? It was a good planned trade. I mean, like, was it a good trade is what I'm saying. Did it have a good RR? Did it have low drawdown? You know, did it hit TP? Was it a fun trade to be in? They say trading should be boring. Yeah, it's boring if your trade doesn't do anything or if you take losses. But if you take, you know, greater fucking trades than your dumbass goobers on Twitter, trading is fucking fun. I don't know what you're talking about. Trading should be boring. You're fucking boring. Dumbass, go take some good trades. You think trading should be boring because you take trades that are boring. People just expose themselves, man. I swear. I swear. All of that? Well, thank you, Leon. Thank you for giving us all the details. We appreciate it. Thank you for expanding and not being how you're being. All right. But yeah. So far, that's all I got. I'm gonna look at dollar for a second. So this is what I was saying earlier about how the dollar index doesn't support the idea for higher pricing on pound, like lower pricing on dollar. This to me doesn't exactly seem bearish from here. Yeah, Cameron. It's crazy. Crazy. We'll work on it. All right, we'll work on it, but Jesus. Try to get some help. Can't get no fucking help. Pound, right? Look where it's at. We made a high on May 26th. That was Monday. Right, so Monday, current high of the week, and then trading lower into the overall range and then into this large imbalance as well. That's not enough, to be honest. That's not enough. Right? Yeah, we have some clean highs, sure. But how can I be, I guess, confident that the low's been set? I'm not. The only, again, real idea here is that we just had a divergence with euro, and this to me just seems like resting liquidity. That's it. That's all that is behind that idea. Mason said, I think the boring stuff is saying don't take a win and think you know everything, and don't take a loss and think you're an idiot. But just be okay with wins and losses. Right. Right. It's the coin flip exercise. Now, I would argue that if your win rate is right around 50%, you're taking bad trades. Remember the other day we talked about mental models and we talked about inversion, right? Do more right by doing less wrong. That's where I would go. If I had a 50% win rate, I would go, okay, we could be doing better. So out of all these losses, which ones were like, why the fuck would we take that? Or why did we take that? You know what I mean? And that I would start looking for, okay, well, are we trading around 50% of ranges? Are we not even using a model? Or are we using multiple models? You know? You can utilize multiple models, but then if you realize, hey, you know what? The inversion model has a lot higher win rate, then maybe let's cut whatever model that we're using that has a lower win rate and then just stick to the model that has a higher win rate. You know what I mean? Do I consider first presentation as resting liquidity? No, I don't personally. It never made sense to me, and it still really doesn't make sense to me why people think an imbalance is liquidity. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. An imbalance is the opposite. So is a gap. A gap, there's no buy side or sell side price delivery. An imbalance, a lot of people call fair value gap, it's one-sided. It has like a lopsided amount of either buy side or sell side. Liquidity, to me, is highs and lows. Equal highs, equal lows, session highs, session lows, previous day high, previous day low, and the rest of the shit that I gave in the video, the liquidity video. Previous month high and low, previous week high and low, all that shit. Data highs and lows, you know, stuff like that. That to me is where liquidity is. I don't believe that there's a big stack of liquidity at imbalances. That to me, just, it fundamentally doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So, are there other people that teach that? Well, of course. But do they get the entries like me? I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? Okay? But if you want to learn from them, go for it. Oh, an imbalance is internal range liquidity. I don't believe that. That's me. That's John Phibb. Okay? That's my belief. Oh, first presentation or breakaway imbalance or whatever. I just don't believe that. So that's me. Okay. Are we all good? Are we all good with that? 20 minutes until meeting minutes. So personally, I don't mind cutting it here because I really don't have anything else for you. And Leon, realistically, futures should not have spreads. Maybe like one tick. I could see one tick, maybe. Like on Nasdaq or some shit. or maybe ES, maybe you get slipped 1 tick, sometimes 2 ticks if it's maybe a high volatility environment, maybe. But futures shouldn't have spreads beyond that. So, what else you got, chat? How was my Monday? Shit. Monday. Oh, that's right. Okay, so Monday, I dropped off my car at a place that does paint protection. So, but the guy was like, "Oh, we're closed on Monday, but if you want, I'll come and open up so you can drop the car off." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." So we did that. So basically, I had the whole place to myself, which was kind of cool. So, signed some paperwork, handed over the keys, said, "Don't fuck up my shit." You know. Then I walked past Chili's and into Texas Roadhouse. Honestly, one of the best decisions I've made in a long time. In a long time. I was like, you know what? I haven't been to Texas Roadhouse in a hot minute. Let me go in here and see what's good. I get to the bar and the lady hands me a basket of 4 just big ass buttered buns with whipped cinnamon butter. I'm going to be honest, chat. I was not even using a knife to spread the butter on the buns. I just straight was dipping them in. And then I ordered a bacon cheeseburger. So that's how my Monday went. Yep. Then I ordered more rolls to go, and she didn't even charge me for the rolls. I was like, "Are you sure?" She's like, "Yeah, I never charge for rolls when I'm at the bar." Crazy. It was a good day. But yeah, I've been getting text updates and video updates. They sent me a video. What's today? Wednesday, right? Yes. Yeah. He sent me a short video yesterday of them washing the car. And then they sent me pictures and another video last night of the paint protection on, and they sent me another video and pictures today of like them finishing it up. So I'll pick it up, I think, tomorrow night or tomorrow evening or some shit. So that's how my Monday went. But yeah. How was your Monday? Mason. So it's funny. You know, if I can be Dave Ramsey for a minute, I would never call a car an investment. I would never call a car an investment. My Cadillac was. When it got totaled, they wrote me a check a lot more than what I paid for it. That was crazy to me. I'll never forget that shit, dude. I'll never forget that. I didn't even ask, "Are you sure?" I was just like, "Oh, okay, that's the number." Bet. But that was the only time. I don't think buying a Corvette at the sticker is considered an investment. So it's an investment into fun, maybe, and it's good for like advertising, or at least I thought it was. I told you guys that I lost friends and I lost followers on Instagram buying that car, right? You guys do know that? I thought completely opposite. Completely opposite. Which is interesting to me. I was like, oh, that's wild to me. But it's true. It is true, chat. Ram, funny enough, bro, believe it or not, like, I'm not a celebrity. I'm not an influencer, bro. I walked into the dealership, none of them knew who I was. And that's fine. Most people don't. But things do get interesting when they start asking questions. Oh, what do you do? That's when shit gets real. Mason said smiles per gallon. Yeah. I didn't know how bad the gas mileage was until like 2 weeks ago. It's not bad. It doesn't get a lot. I think it gets 18 miles per gallon. What games have I been playing? Not a lot, bro. Not a lot. I did, for like 2 or 3 days, I played a game called Once Human, and it was kind of like Power World, but zombie apocalypse kind of thing. And then I was like, okay. And then I stopped playing. But that's about it. I think so. Oh, funny enough, I played Chained Together with Siva a couple weeks ago. That was the funniest shit that has happened in a long time. Like the first night we played, bro, I was fucking wheezing. Shit was so jokes. Y'all ever played Chained Together? Or have you ever seen anybody play Chained Together? Ram, I do not like cooking. I don't. Cooking, let's just think about this, Ram. Are you ready for this? Let's just think about ROI for a second. You have to take the time to go out to get the groceries. You got to spend money to get the groceries. You got to stand in line. Right? Then you got to go chop shit up, cook it, bunch of dishes to eat for maybe 15 minutes max. So we're talking about an hour, maybe 2 of grocery shopping, 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes standing in line, checking out, prepping shit, cutting shit, maybe 20-30 minutes for dishes. All of that to eat for all of 15 minutes. Doesn't that sound like a scam? Cooking blows. You know what I mean? It sucks. I hate it. I don't like it. Have I ever rode a motorcycle? No. No. I'm always ready for story time. I don't have the greatest stories. I don't. Shit, if there was some stories I told you, you probably would unsubscribe, honestly. There are some stories I have when I was a kid and stupid. I said some really dumb shit back in the day. Walmart online grocery order plus delivery works and is great. Yeah, you're probably right. Or Amazon Fresh. Amazon Fresh. All right, we're at a 1 p.m. macro. But remember, I think the macro is secondary to the news. Does that make sense? If we have FOMC meeting minutes at 1 o'clock, which is roughly in 10 minutes, what am I going to look at the macro for? No, Torty, like, I said some very off the wall things. So now, mind you, I dated women that were, I dated Latinas, okay? So I knew all the cuss words and the insults, we'll put it that way. So when I would get into heated arguments with Latinas, like a manager or a boss or some shit, well, let's just say I would bring tanks to a gunfight, if that makes sense. So it would be a lot worse in today's world. But yeah, I'm sure you guys can put 2 and 2 together. You know, when I was like, what? Let's see, I'm 31. So this had to have been 13 years ago, 14 years ago. I'll never forget, bro. I wrote about Bobby. I told you guys about Bobby before. Bobby, that fat bitch. I told you about her. Trading during the military. I missed out on a lot of trades. But that's part of the reason why I left the military too. I was like, I'm missing so many trades and so many setups because I'm out here just bullshitting around, you know, just doing nothing. And I did not like that. Our low of the day was the 420 level 2. Close to it. Did you guys see that? How's that for trading content? 420. Can't escape it. There's really, Torty, there's really not much more else to say. She was in her 40s, maybe mid 40s, I'm guessing. I don't know. It's hard to tell when you're a fucking blueberry. You know what I mean? And she was just a person that was, you know, fat people are angry, dude. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, you're tired all the time. I could see why you're angry too. You know what I mean? And she tried to get me fired on like her last day of work. It was her last day of work because she was being transferred to a new store. She was being transferred because her sales were dog shit. So she was like, "Oh, well, I'm getting a transfer because I'm a bitch ass dumb fuck of a manager. Oh, well, this white boy's making all this money. Let me get him fired." She didn't get me fired. What got me fired was what I texted her. Because there was a guy named Adam who owned the store. And he texted me like the same day or the next day or whatever. And he was like, "Look, you're a good dude. We want you to come back. However, I saw and I read the 2 text messages that you sent Bobby. And for that reason, we can't have you back." I was like, that's fair. That's fair. So. And then I can't remember if it was 6 months or 8 months later, her and her family came in. I was working at Cheddar's at the time. I went from Steak and Shake to Cheddar's right before I left for the military. And at Cheddar's, her and her family came in and I was their server. And that was awkward. She was like, you're not going to spit in my food, are you? Now, why would I do that, Bobby? Why would I have any reason to do that? I didn't tell her that. I was just like, no, of course not. I would never do that. And then she left a pretty awful tip too. So, and that's it. That's the story of Bobby. That's it. She's probably in her 50s now. If she's still alive, she didn't fucking die from being obese. I know that's very mean to say, but it's true, bro. Fat people don't make it very far. You got to be healthy, man. I'm not the most healthiest person, but dude, I'm not a blueberry. I'm not fucking around. I don't have to buy 2 plane tickets. Like, come on. Nah, Tori, I never did no shit like that. There are certain lines I will not cross, and spitting in people's food, I would never do that. No, no, no. Could never be me. But I'll cuss a bitch out though. I'll use every vulgar name you can ever think of and more. But that was, again, that was me when I was like 15, 16, bro. You know, I didn't have the self-control that I have now. And I was still figuring things out, you know, as far as why people do the things they do, you know, and all that business. And that's really a big reason why I'm writing my next book. It's about that. It's about the school system and the things that you don't get taught. Right? How many times have I said it in the past? You don't learn in middle school and high school. You don't learn mental models. You don't learn Stoic philosophy. You don't learn mindset. You don't learn personal development. You don't learn problem solving. You don't learn how to do your taxes. You don't learn teamwork. You don't learn business. You don't learn marketing. You don't learn trading, investing. You don't learn any of that shit. And then on top of that, you're being taught by adults who didn't learn shit either. You know what I mean? I hate to say it, but like, bro, if I drove up to my high school, you think anybody there has a newer car than mine? I mean, maybe. But do you think any of them teachers drive shit that I drive? Fuck no. And they're a lot older than me. They've had a lot more time than me. So you're out here driving a fucking Honda Civic with 800,000 miles. You know, I can hear you coming from down the street because your brakes are grinding. And you're going to teach me about what? You know what I mean? But again, at 16 years old, you don't have the intellectual understanding that you're in the matrix. You know what I mean? I could always tell, like, yeah, something's not right about this. I just can't explain it. You know, I can't put words on it. And even if I could, people wouldn't believe me anyway. If you, like right now, okay, we're going to have meeting minutes here in a second, but right now, if you walked up, if you have a son or daughter that's like 15, 16, or if you know like your neighbor who's 15 or 16, okay, if you walked up to them and said, listen, you're right in the middle of the matrix, everything that you're being taught is bullshit, and you're being led to the slaughterhouse. You're meant to be broke, you're meant to be broken, and you're meant to learn a bunch of shit that will not help you in this life. How do you think that's going to go over? You think that's going to end well? Or are they going to call you crazy? Oh, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a fucking tinfoil hat. You're one of them. It's like, that's a reasonable expectation because they've been indoctrinated. They've been in the filth for so long that they can't see what's clean. But shit, to me, I'd rather tell people than to leave them to their own devices. But people never learn how to learn. You know? They don't learn how to learn. They don't know how to... They don't learn how to unlearn as well. If that makes sense. You have to unlearn a lot of that dumb shit that you learn in school. You got to be in class on time. You go to college, they don't give a fuck. You go to work, some jobs don't really care. You walk in 5 or 10 minutes late, who cares? You know what I mean? Not that big of a deal. But anyway, the point is, I was still figuring things out back then. And I kept questioning, like, why do people want to see me fail? It doesn't make sense. We're here to make money, and you want to be a dumbass bitch and, you know, project insecurities. But again, I didn't know that. This is why I love Robert Greene. Not just 48 Laws of Power, but Laws of Human Nature. That's a really good one. I'm reading Mastery right now, which is pretty good so far. It's dense as per usual, but it's got some quality stuff in there. He talks about very, very similar ideas. You know, as children, as kids, we're rejected a lot. No, you can't touch the hot stove. No, you can't have ice cream before dinner. You know, no, you can't go hang out with your friends or whatever, you know? And in school, it's no different. You have to do this. You have to do that. You got to do your homework. You can't cuss out your teacher. Fair enough. But you get so suppressed and you get rejected so many times that it's building like this inner, I don't know what the name for it is. It's like this inner resentment. And for me, what it was for me is I just wanted to be free. That was it. I just wanted to make my own choices. That's all I ever wanted. You know what I mean? But parents, teachers, society in general has placed so many rules onto us, and especially to children and adolescents, that you're a fucking slave, bro. Hotshot, in hindsight, I probably would have been, I think things would have been better if I went to a trade school instead of the military. Because at least in trade schools, you end up making a lot more money. But the military gave me the time to learn how to trade, and, you know, the military gave me a lot of time on my hands. It freed up a lot of time where a trade school may not have. But new high here for NQ. And I'm just cycling through. ES, not so much. Dow, I don't even know what Dow is doing. And the dollar, not doing a lot. So, yeah. Euro, continued weakness. GBP kind of just chilling as well. So, that's it. That's all that I got for you. But does that make sense? Do you think I'm like ranting and venting, or do you think I'm like actually onto something? Do you think I'm bullshitting, or do you think like, oh no, John, there's some validity there. You're not totally stupid. What do you guys think? Did we do ones already earlier today? Yeah, drop some twos if I actually have a decent point to what I'm rambling on about. Or no, is the school system fine and everybody learns everything they need to know, and that people aren't drowning in debt and drowning in anxiety and depression? Unlearning things has been my challenge. The indoctrination runs deep. It is. It is difficult. It's very difficult. You think it's easy, bro? Do you think it's easy when your friends and your family don't do the things that you do? They don't look at life the same way. They don't believe the things that you believe in either. That are also, I guess, would say part of the matrix too. You think that's fucking easy? Because it's not. What was the best advice you ever heard? Honestly, I can't say that there's one particular piece of advice. I can't say that. If I had to say, like, if there was one piece that you had to be like, okay, there has to be one, John. Even though I don't think it, but if I had to choose, I would say long-term thinking. I think long-term thinking will help you not make dumb decisions and help you make better decisions. Because you have to set yourself up for later. Does that make sense? You don't get good at trading in a very short amount of time. Okay? You have to learn models. You have to learn that you're going to be staying in your own way. You have to learn how to be patient, right? And if you quit, like, you're done, right? But it's the same with everything else. You know, if you want to get out of debt, you have to attack that debt, bro. You got to pay off those credit cards. You got to pay off that car or whatever. You know, people got credit cards for fucking everything now. I mean, hell, you can finance a fucking hot dog now at Costco. What type of shit is that? That's not a good decision, right? And you have to think, okay, are the decisions I'm making today setting me up for the future, or are they setting me up to fail? Because a lot of, at least the debt side of things, the habits people don't really see until later either, but the debt really comes back. Like, having a lot of debt, you start getting underwater at a certain point where now your payments are higher than your income, and now you're fucked. Now you're in a world of shit. Now you've got bankruptcies, or you got to borrow more money to get even more in debt. Like, it's bad. You know what I mean? And to prevent all of that, you have to ask yourself, is what you're doing, the decision you're about to make, is that going to work for you or against you in the future? And a lot of people don't do that. They do what feels good now. They don't delay gratification, and that shows. What was it in Atomic Habits? Your weight is a reflection of, like, what you eat and whether you work out or not, right? It's the same thing. Your net worth is a reflection, a delayed, it's the outcome of your financial habits, right? It's like that with everything else. So I would say the best piece of advice I ever heard is to think about the long term. Yeah, drop some likes on the stream if you guys got some value today. I know we've been dropping off for a while, but for those of you that have stayed, you know, at least you got some value out of today, because I'm getting ready to shut it down now. But, you know, this is our life, right? We only get one. And to live now to be fucked for later, to me, that's not a good way to live, man. I'm not going to tell somebody how to live, or, you know, I'm not going to force somebody to do anything they don't want to do. But it's like, bro, a lot of people that are struggling today, like, no shit, you did it to yourself, honestly. Oh, the world is so cruel, this, that, and the third. Bro, a lot of the shit you did to yourself. Maybe not everything, but there's a lot of things you could have prevented, or a lot of things you could have done differently. Now just think about that, but moving forward. I don't advise people to take on debt. I tell, just like Dave Ramsey, I tell people to get out of debt. Some debt, you get it. You want to buy a house or buy a car or some shit. Yeah, okay, yeah, you got to take on some debt. That's fine. But I'm saying, like, multiple credit cards and missing payments and late fees and high interest and all that shit. If you don't know how to handle a credit card properly, don't get one. You know, fuck credit. Fuck credit. And I know a lot of people don't agree. No, John, you need good credit. No, you don't. You think you do, but you don't. If you want something, just go buy it. Just go buy it. Yeah, Mason. Well, first of all, I don't know why anybody would buy Taylor Swift tickets. And on top of that, you would go into debt for tickets is beyond me. But anyway, I say all this stuff, and sometimes I go on rants and tangents a little bit about things that you would probably think don't have to do anything with trading. But how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you're undisciplined everywhere else, how do you think you're going to be on the charts? You know, it's damn near impossible to be undisciplined in your life and then be disciplined in trading. It doesn't work, bro. We're people of habit. And if you're a lazy sack of shit in your life, you're going to be lazy in your trading too. And that's it. So, I mean, hopefully you guys got some value out of today. I know there's not really a lot price-wise to talk about or to go over. I gave you a couple things, but, you know, it's these conversations, like I say this all the time, it's these types of conversations that I wish people would have told me earlier, especially in school, because we did not get conversations like this. You know, they used to think I was on drugs when I wasn't. What type of shit is that? Like, yeah, it's wild, bro. So I try to be the teacher that I wish I had. Does that make sense? I try to be for you guys what I wish I could have had when I was younger. That's the secret. When people tell me like, oh yeah, you're a good teacher, I'd like to think I'm a good teacher. I'm better than I used to be. But that's like the guidance right there. Be the person you would have wanted other people to be for you. And that's why I talk about the things I talk about. That's why I live stream for free. And I give out a lot of gems for free. There's a paywall for the community and for some videos, yeah, but mostly a lot of this stuff is for free. You know? Because why not? So, with that being said, before I rant any further, y'all be good. Be blessed. We'll be here. Let me see. Today's Wednesday. So, we'll be here. I'll put out the market review tomorrow. We'll be here on Friday the 30th for the last live stream of the week. All right. So if you guys have not done so, just go over to stoicfx.com. Just check it out. Just check out the website, bro. That's all you got to do. There's some content on there, a little bit about stoicism. There will be more content added in the future. Okay. And that's that. All right. So be good. I'll see you on Friday.
Do you recall how we ruled the world when our love was everything we own? Do you miss the feeling when we got our freedom? Nothing but our feet walking on fire. Now fear left both of us naked, undressed, our bodies are faded. We froze when